Hi friend, Kat Clausen here. Last time we were together, I told you a little bit about this Angela Davis portrait that I'm working on. My client and I liked this picture a whole lot, but client needed Angela facing this way, so I flipped the portrait and then I did a quick thumbnail sketch in oil paint to work on colors a little bit. And I tell you, things changed quite a bit with the portrait, actually, from thumbnail to finished piece. The first thing I did was create her eyes, and she's just so electrified. She's a civil rights activist, professor, and writer with just tons of passion and strength, and I really wanted to show that in this piece. So I worked on the face first, starting with the eyes and this triangle where you've got the eyes, nose, and mouth, and then worked on the afro. Last time I showed you the colors that I used about 2 to 3 colors, and then I used the edge of the palette knife to scrape in some individual hair pieces. Next, I worked on the shirt and used a turquoise blue. Then it came time for the background, and in the back of my mind, I was thinking, well, you know, my client approved orange, and so I went in with an orange-yellow color. And when I laid that down, there just wasn't enough contrast between that and the skin tones. And so I thought, well, what if I put a little red into it to make a change, and did that. Still too much warmth. Then I thought, what about white to kind of knock down some of that warmth? And the background was actually beautiful as a standalone. I just loved it. But I took a few steps back, which is a good thing to do, and I noticed that the painting wasn't balanced. It was a little bit too warm, so I used a razor blade and scraped off all that paint, and it didn't take but a few minutes, and then used a tissue to kind of wipe off residue, and I tried green, and when I put that green down, it just started to sing. So don't be afraid to change up anything on your painting. Oil paints are actually rather forgiving, and so are acrylics, because you can just paint right over the top, and there's a lot of opacity there to work with. So either oil or acrylic, you've got a lot of change possibilities. I'm going to lift up the camera and show you Angela Davis. Here we've got Angela Davis and her beautiful brown eyes. When you work on eyes, always work on them together. Go back and forth, back and forth. That way you can get them facing the same way, which is actually very, very important. Working with an open mouth is a tough problem because you've got a tongue in there, you've got cheeks, and actually in the photograph all I had was a black hole inside, and so I just thought about where the tongue would be, insides of the cheeks, and created those. You can see some of the scratching I did in the afro to create the individual hair pieces. I put in some orange close to the face in the afro to just fire her up. Angela had a lot of tenacity with her beliefs about civil rights, and I wanted to show that in the paint. Now, under the chin, you've got a shadow, and so I worked with blues, purples, and reds to darken that area and put it back. Here we've got the shirt. My camera shows it quite blue, but actually, in reality, it's turquoise. And then the very last thing I did was sign it. Thank you, friend, for taking the tour with me. I love you very, very much. Take good care of yourself, and remember, it's always love.